This is Religion in the News, sponsored by Wish TV, in cooperation with the Church Federation of Greater Indianapolis.
Good morning, Indianapolis, and welcome to Religion in the News. I'm J.R. Ryder. Joining me today is Reggie Barney, Carol Sissom, and Kiara Davis. We have a great show for you today as our guests talk about water rescues, a Christian club for those 21 and under, and some upcoming gospel hip-hop concerts. Stay tuned.
My guests are here today to talk about water rescues, and an amazing one at that. Let's welcome Olivia Martin and Captain Rita Burris. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
I am just so excited to hear all about this water rescue that we all saw on television just a few weeks ago on Thursday afternoon, June 2nd, 1:30. You were at work.
Yes.
And you saw a car fly off I-65 and literally just careen into a retention pond. I know we have some video of this that's going to air while we talk. Tell us all about this. You are a hero.
Well, I was on my break at work, and I was with my boss, and we were talking, and the car drove off the interstate, and we both looked at each other like, what just happened? And we ran outside, and by the time we even ran around the side of the building, the vehicle had already entered the water. And so I just took off running and made my way to the bank, and I made sure that my boss was calling 911, and I jumped in the water and waded my way over to the car window, and I actually recognized the driver. It was someone that I had actually graduated with. And you know, time goes by very slow, it seems like, in situations like that, and then my maternal instincts and just things I had learned in my first aid classes started to kick in, and I just went through the motions of calming them down and asking them if they were all right, if they were injured, and I told them that they had to get out the windows because if they opened the car door that the water would flood the car. So after I had gotten them calmed down enough, I asked the passenger if they were my height and if they could swim, and they could, and I knew that the driver was a student I went with to school, that they could not swim, and the water was 5 feet and I'm 5'7", so it was just to where I could breathe. Well, she would have been under the water, and so the fact that I knew that she couldn't swim, and the fact that the water was going to be over her head, and that it was just like the perfect storm type situation. Like, everything happened so perfectly. It was just a miracle that she's even alive, that she didn't, you know, veer into the interstate wall, or that she didn't run into the building, or the fact that she didn't hit her head on the windshield when she hit the water. It's just a miracle that she's even alive, and that it was me that actually
you were there.
That I was there at that specific time.
Now,
so,
I know you want to talk about the divine intervention, but how old are you?
I'm 19. And
do you have any training as far as a lifeguard or anything like that?
No, I don't have, I took CPR and first aid because of my daycare training. I'm required to take that, but I do not have any sort of water training whatsoever.
So you were just a daycare worker at work, just happened to be outside, and you see a car flying off the highway.
Right.
Now, what went on inside of you as far as spiritually? I know you talked about your faith, but you believe it was a miracle? How was...
Yeah, when it was all going on, it was just getting them out of the water was my main concern. But afterwards, everything was just going through my head about how incredible it was that it was such a time and a place that it was... She went in where I knew her. The fact that there weren't children... We have a day camp that goes to our church, that the children often fish. They go fishing right where she went into the water. And the fact that they weren't fishing right then when she entered the water, the fact that, you know, there could have been fatalities that way, it was just, it was no coincidence. It was no strange, you know, just sequence of events. It was by the grace of God that she did not kill anybody else, that she did not kill herself or her passengers, the fact that she didn't die in the water, that she landed in a specific spot where it was just enough to where I could get to her, where I wasn't having to actually swim. It wasn't a coincidence. It was by the hand of God.
Were you afraid?
No, I didn't have fear during the rescue. I had fear for my friend because I didn't know what had happened. But
now, Captain, you were there. please tell us what you saw.
Well, the fire department arrived on the scene after the 911 system was activated, which was the appropriate thing in this case to do. Olivia and the other teacher who watched the incident occur activated the 911 system, and we cannot stress that enough. It takes some time for everybody to get moving and get the equipment and get to the scene. So activating the 911 system is probably the biggest thing that you want to do. Second only to keeping yourself safe as a potential rescuer. Certainly what Olivia did was a very brave thing to do, and it all turned out for the best. But from the fire department's perspective, we certainly don't encourage people to enter bodies of water of any kind without some, strenuous training, being very physically fit. The unknown variables are so great that it is something that we caution anybody against if that situation is presented. But we also understand that people act on instinct. They follow their gut sometimes, and she was simply acting on instinct. She did what she thought was appropriate at the time, and it all worked out. But in this particular instance, these young ladies were very, very lucky that they weren't injured and that no one else was injured. And Olivia herself was very lucky that she was not a victim herself, because, unknown bodies of water are just that. It's like putting a blanket over a hole. You can see the smooth water on top, but you really don't know what's underneath, and you don't know how deep that hole is or what variables are presented underneath. So that's why we want to make sure that people just don't run into bodies of water, even ones that they're pretty familiar with, because the water changes underneath. The water can be more active. There can be natural things occurring underneath of the water that would be a danger to someone actually entering the water. So,
and I think you had just a couple of statistics for us.
Well, drowning is the second leading cause of death amongst young children, and it is the number 6 leading cause of death amongst all ages of people. So couple that with poor judgment while you're driving, whether you're under the influence of something, or you're driving too quickly, or you're driving on ice or snow and you're driving too fast. Couple those two things together, and you just have what should have been an avoidable accident, or put yourself in a situation that is can be deadly.
Indeed. I know we're just about to run out of time, but this was a miracle, and you are quite a hero. You've gotten a letter from the Lieutenant Governor and on the front page of the paper, and I think we're going to show this right here, but we just can't thank you enough for what you did. And thank you for sharing your miracle story. Back to you, JR.
That's awesome. And coming up next, my guests talk about a new 21 and under Christian club when we return.